Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how you start an episode, folks. Welcome to Handmade After Dark.
Heyo.
I'm joined by two lovely gentlemen, Alan Webster and Miblo, our little annotation prince.
What do you think?
So last episode we were supposed to talk about Handmade Con, and that didn't go well.
I derailed everything, yeah. I
And
just kept
that's
pushing
exactly how I
farther and
want
farther.
it. That's exactly how I want it. So I'm not gonna talk about Handmade Con. Alan, you have moved into an office that's actually away from your home, not
Yes.
just like an extra room wherever you live.
Right. Yeah.
And I work right out of my bedroom because I don't have a spare room. And it looks like Miblo too are working at least from home. So I'm wondering what your experience was with it. Have you seen a productivity increase? And
Yeah, sure.
you've done the same thing with Casey, where you have no internet at the office.
Yeah, well, I didn't really do it for the reasons Casey did it, at least not at first. Now, I'll get into maybe the results of that experiment, but I was just in the situation where my desktop never had a wireless card before, and I didn't really feel like buying a wireless card, and there's no Ethernet jack anywhere in the office. So I was like, you know what? Casey does it without internet. Why don't I just give it a shot? And
but
if
there
I need
is
to,
Wi-Fi.
Yeah, there's Wi-Fi, and the thing is, I could get on the Wi-Fi, and I bring my laptop. So if I ever really need internet, I can just put my laptop on the internet. I haven't asked for the Wi-Fi password yet because when I first moved in, it was like, it was the holiday season. Like I had finished school and I moved everything into my office because I wanted to be ready to go as soon as the holiday season was over. So I didn't want to be moving then.
Yeah.
And so I moved everything in, and then I had to get a 4-coder version out. And I was like, oh crap, all my stuff's at the office. I'll just have to work there to get the 4-coder version out. And so I finally got a 4-coder version out. And I had spent several days in there with no internet, and there was no one in the office, so I couldn't go get the Wi-Fi password.
Oh.
And since I had started to be like, well, I've made it this far without internet. Let's see how far I can take it. I still haven't got the Wi-Fi password, and maybe now I will go internet free. We'll see. Let's see. What else can I say about that? Oh, so in terms of productivity, I'm not sure if it's because of the no internet or because of the separate space or what it is, but I have found a couple things about the office that are nice. For one thing, because I have keys, I could in theory go at any time. I could work programmer hours, like noon to midnight if I wanted.
Yeah.
Or that, but reduced to a standard like 8-hour period or whatever. I could do whatever amount of time I wanted because I have keys to all the doors, to the front, the main, like the entrance of the office, and then to my particular room and stuff. So there's nothing keeping me on sort of normal people schedule, except that I don't really like traveling in the dark. So I don't want to go home at midnight. Which is kind of difficult. So I've been sort of working in a sort of normal person way, where you go around 8:30 or 9 a.m.
A 9 to
your
5
office.
job.
Yeah, and then you stay until 5 or 7 p.m. in my case. Sometimes I shift the 9 to 5 to 11 to 7 in some cases, but I still get pretty close to that range there, so that I can avoid the midnight commute home. And I think sticking to that has actually made me more productive because like in the past, I would try to do some work and I'd end up being awake until like 1 or 2 a.m. and then convince myself, well, I'm still not tired, so I guess I'll do more work. And then you start doing crappy work that you're going to have to fix tomorrow anyway, and that kind of thing. And just having sort of that 8-hour section where you take one break for lunch, and other than that, you don't really have any distractions, and you're like doing it right when you've woken up. Even though I'm not really a morning person, it somehow forces me to be more, I don't know, realistic about here's what I got done today, and it kind of cleans up a lot of, like, my code seems to clean itself up more easily because I'm more, I think, sharp than I realized in the morning.
Yeah, okay.
Interesting. So the commute has kind of imposed some discipline on you.
Yeah, exactly. The fact that I need to get to a place, and like I could go at a different time, but going when everyone else goes just makes my life easier because the sort of, I mean, in a way, everyone else has their life set up in this way, and doing what everyone else does, going with the flow, has some advantages, right?
Well, there's also
it also means that like restaurants are open while I'm at work, and like shops. Like I had to go to Radio Shack, which is was like a block away from where I work, my office. So I could go down there and get some video adapters. Because I have a bunch of VGAs and I needed things. I needed everything but VGA for the new graphics card. So I went to the Radio Shack and got a bunch of adapters. And if I had been working programmer hours, I'd have been like, ah, crap. All right, I got to wake up tomorrow at normal people time and go to Radio Shack. And
or you could do what I do and, okay, fuck, I have to stay awake until the shop's open. And then I can go to bed.
Right. Yeah, well, either way, just going with the flow allows me to take advantage of the sort of the food and the shops that are around to make my life easier. And so sticking to that schedule, it sort of forces me to stick to that schedule. And then with that schedule, I have found productivity increased, I think.
Okay, there's I guess school also makes you have to work normal hours so you can actually wake up for school.
Well, I'm not going to school right now.
Oh.
Yeah, I stopped going to school after the previous semester, which is why I got the office. I would have just kept working where I was, but I moved out of that apartment, and because that apartment was super expensive, it was meant for 2 people. So I moved out of that and gave it to someone else, and got the office, and stopped going to school. Yeah.
So you're living off Handmade, a lot of 4-coder money right now.
Yeah. I'm mostly living off 4-coder money right now. The problem with not going to school anymore is that means my school loans are gonna start billing me, but I'm gonna be able to handle that. It's just the downside to leaving school whenever you've gone to school in the United States is that
now you have to stop paying.
As soon as you leave, you owe somebody about $60,000 to $100,000, depending on exactly the details of your life. That is if you didn't have like parents who could pay for you or something.
Jesus, it's so much money, man. So
There's
much
a lot
money.
of money. Yeah, I mean, education for me was all paid for, I believe. Like all high school and even like university. I think that was a grant of some description. I can't remember exactly the details, but I haven't been sent a bill, so I presume
nice.
So you're just waiting for that £1,000,000 bill suddenly coming, like you owe this and all this interest.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think the thing is when I start to earn like say 30 grand, it's just gonna come flying in all these bills. I don't know. It might not be.
Yeah, but it's kind of interesting as you said, Alan. You also think you have gained some productivity increase from actually working normal hours instead of the stereotypical programmer. Okay, I work at night.
Yeah, and I'm not even. When I was younger, I would have worked like 10 hours a day because I was like, oh, I'm so hardcore and I love my projects and it's awesome. So I'm going to do 10 or 12 hours a day. And not doing that, I think, has definitely increased my productivity. Yeah, but I'm also better now than I was then, which might contribute to it. Like back then, I was still doing. Back when I used to do that crap, I was very much like learning how to even like call a virtual function and stuff like that. Which I and I hadn't started Handmade, so I think some of that also contributes to my productivity. But strict hours has helped.
Yeah, that's true. Like that's what I think. Like Miblo, you basically live in England, but you basically work American hours, right? That's
yeah. I'm basically a night owl.
Yeah.
And Handmade Hero, Casey's on Pacific daylight or whatever time it is at the time of the year, and that time zone fits perfectly for me.
So you basically stick to that but you basically then run into the problems Alan's mentioned about shops being closed and that sort of stuff.
Kind of, but I mean, I do a lot of when I need to buy something, I buy it online, really.
Yeah,
so
but then there's just Amazon. So why?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, I don't use Amazon really, but just online stuff. You just buy it, order it at your own time, and then it just gets sent through your door when it arrives.
Yeah, that's not unusual for me either. It's just the Radio Shack thing in particular isn't what matters. It's really the food thing. Like if I'm going to work for about 8 hours, I'm going to get hungry. It doesn't matter what time of day it is. Any 8-hour period of span of not eating is going to get me hungry somewhere in there. So the fact that there's like restaurants open and like places where you can get lunch without having to like think about it very hard in the morning is the real reason that I'm stuck on that. Because Radio Shack, it's like I could have ordered that online Although it was nice to have the immediate turnaround on a couple of video adapters, because that with video adapters are one of those things. It's like it's very small and it's not like it doesn't cost that much.
And
So
it's
ordering it
usually
online is
something
like,
you need like now.
yeah, right. I need to start adapting my video, or I don't have any video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, like I usually switch between two different sleep schedules often because I technically go to school. I don't go there, but that's a whole other kind of words. So I have to like technically go to school. I'm never there, and I've now secured a course where I don't have to be there. So
Perfect.
yeah, so that's great. But that means I had to kind of be in a 9 to 5 kind of rhythm. I had to get up in the morning, but then then as soon as a weekend or a holiday happens, instantly switch. I wake up at like 5 p.m. I wake up there and then I go to bed like 6 a.m. or later, and I actually personally hate it because I actually want to be awake in the morning, but I just instantly my sleepiness just instantly starts to suddenly get to more and more towards that bad zone because I maybe sit down. Okay, I'm planning to go to bed at 10 p.m. and I sit down. Oh, I can just do some work at 8 p.m. And suddenly look at the clock and it's 4 in the morning. What happens?
Yeah, I definitely can agree that I like the effect of the good sleep schedule of like the 9 to 5 going with the flow schedule where you're not going against the grain of most people's life rhythm. I like the effects of being on that. I spontaneously find myself off of it if there's nothing forcing me to be on it.
Yeah.
So
I think the tough thing about the nighttime is that I find that the hours just pass. Like they can just slip by much quicker than like the daytime hours for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That has a lot to do like what you're doing. Like,
yeah.
Because if you're doing nothing, then it's very easy for them to just like you're sitting watching YouTube and suddenly you watch 40 YouTube videos and sitting there, like I've done nothing all day. Where data's usually, like you usually, or not today, but if you have something to do, you're much more structured and you're like, okay, I have done this the past hour because this took an hour and that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
Maybe. But I mean, also like even when I'm doing like my programming streams, for example, like they can, I think I said in the last stream, they can last for like 2 hours. Now at night time, that seems like not a very long time, and I don't really notice the time going. But like during the day, you're kind of more aware of, I don't know, like the light changing outside. Like
yeah, that's interesting.
that kind
I
of
wonder.
Yeah, I think it's because the rest of where you are is awake, so there's stuff there is even if you're not outside, so there's still stuff happening around you, so you're more aware of how the time is going because you hear cars driving outside and you like TV and stuff on, or if you're one of the people that work in like different coffee shops, you see people coming in and out. You're just aware of more aware of what's going on around you instead of just on your screen. So, and especially with programming, where it's very easy to get into that like zen zone and just hours pass. But you've actually made good work, but still like I'm now 8 hours. I fucked up my sleep schedule because I now 8 hours past what I actually wanted to be awake.
Here's another thing that I just realized that might actually be a larger contributing factor than my strict schedule to my productivity, which is that I'm logging my hours pretty carefully right now. So whenever I start programming on something, I take note of when I started, and I keep reminding myself and trying to check the time and go, okay, this has been 2 hours, and then like, all right, we're getting to 3, I need to hit 4, and then when I get to 4, I'm like, okay, write that down. And somehow knowing, there's a couple of things that's done for me, which is that when I'm getting close to the end of a window of time, I go, okay, I need something that I can fit into like 30 minutes that I can get done properly, and that like isn't going to take that much, like that I can finish in 30 minutes basically, right? Something that I can do well in 30 minutes that makes sense at this position in the project, that isn't like me jumping ahead too far or like redoing things I don't need to be redoing. And so it makes me think very critically about how to optimize. All right, I'm going to leave that for the end when I need a little bit of fudge room at the end of my cycle or whatever. And it also means at every moment I know, okay, that just took me 30 minutes to do that one thing that I did. And you get very conscious of which thing, okay, why did that take longer? Because since you've measured it, you kind of see, well, that took longer than normal. What went wrong? And it's like, oh, it went wrong because I spent all that time reading through Windows.h because I was looking for, this has happened to me a few times since at the start of the year is since I don't have the internet, but I still need to like look up like what's the name of that call. I just open up WinUser.h, Winbase.h, which are some of the Windows API headers that have all the functions in them, and searching through them. And I've lost about 15 to 20 minutes sometimes, like after having found the thing I probably wanted, just like going, oh, what is this? And like reading through other function calls. And then I go, oh, shoot, what am I doing? Back to work.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know how you prevent yourself from doing that, but you can at least identify where your time goes better when you're logging hours.
One of the things to prevent is don't open Windows.h. But
it's true.
But there's a program called, well, it's called Toggle, but it's basically the word toggle without an e, which is like a application, a time tracking application where you you write up what I'm doing, and you press start, and it just keeps track, and like it's a really neat time tracking thing, and it integrates into like if you use applications like I think it has Trello integration, or it has something called Todoist. Like it has integration with different programs to track tasks and that sort of stuff. I think if you're starting to log your hours, I think it's something you should look into, because it's just a nice interface for it, and you can actually make it say, "Oi, you have spent 2 hours more than what you want to do on this thing. Get your act together." It's like you can be notified of, you're actually going above the time you meant to use on this now.
Right. Well, I don't normally budget my time in that way where I'm thinking about how much time each activity should take.
No, but if you're going to do that, you can do this. But you can also just say, "I'm working on this now," and just start tracking how long it took.
Right.
Because then it can also give you reports on, like, how are you spending your time? Because it can be very good information to know, I'm actually spending a lot of time on this where I actually want to do this thing.
Yeah, I suppose if you've got multiple things that you do have to do, that'd be helpful. I'm just thinking of myself, like when I do the annotations, I don't do this for Handmade Hero really, because I don't necessarily need to track the time, but for doing the OBBG annotations, I do track the time, so that so I can just tell Sean exactly how much time I spent doing it.
Yeah.
And I actually estimate beforehand how long I think it'll take, and then I just go ahead and do it.
I don't know if it works on Linux, but you could look at it. It's a toggle without an e.com. I've used it before. I don't use it now because I don't do time tracking, because I usually forget to turn it on. But
I just use OBS actually. OBS is my timer.
Right, that's a good one.
Fair enough. Like, if you stream everything, then you can literally just look. But if you start doing stuff that you're not streaming, then it makes sense.
Also, I mean, streaming it in itself helps, because you just gotta do the stuff.
It keeps you focused, because you suddenly expected to keep working. Like, you can't just fire around, not do what you're supposed to do, because
people
came to the stream to watch this thing, and now you're watching YouTube videos.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I mean, the next stage from that is just having Big Brother just watching all your stuff, and I don't necessarily condone that.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely used streaming that way before, where I was like, man, I'm not getting anywhere on this. I'm actually going to announce a 4-coder stream here on Thursday for surprise, and that's going to force me to do 2 hours of work right now. It does work sometimes. It can also be distracting, where like, I got to do a stream today, and like, I kind of like to just power through this and not, not have to sort of set up the whole stream and be interactive about it. But
I would say about this entire thing about setting up the stream, and like I can basically type in obs.exe, enter, and then press start, and it's set up.
Right, that's true. But I also, when I'm streaming, I also set it up, making sure I've got the 2 monitors, which applications I want visible on one and which ones I don't want visible on this one, announcing something on Twitter. Like, there's just about a good 5-minute roll up to all that.
Well, I'll tell you what would help with that would be i3, the window manager. You can just like set a key, and it just puts everything where you want it to go. I don't use it myself yet.
You can also just use PowerShell scripts. And
that can position the windows where you want, can it?
I believe you can force position, and you can use Tweet with C, write a little app that will tweet out. Little plug for our friend Colonel Dragon here. He released on Handmade Network a a little C single file library to tweet with C, which is the name of the
So
library.
I had an interesting idea for a sort of research project that Tweet with C would play a role in. It would play a small role, but since this is the show of tangents, I'll throw in my first one.
Go ahead.
So Tweet with C reminds me of a project I came up with, which was to create a complete simulation of a social clique that is completely virtual on Twitter, right? It's basically a bunch of Twitter bots, but they're not bad Twitter bots. They have to be interconnected with each other because normally you get a Twitter bot and you're like, oh, following one person, 3 tweets, and it's like, and of course you can usually tell because they're usually porn bots too.
Yeah.
But if you don't make it a porn bot, and then try to convince people. See how many people you can convince that this clique of bots is actually real friends by having them tweeting at each other and like building a life story like of their friendship over the course of a year. And it's like 5 or 10 friends that you're just simulating all of them. I'd love to see what it takes to simulate that.
So
yeah,
what we need is like 12 instances of InsoBot with Markov enabled and just hook them up to Twitter and say, go ahead.
Yeah. Now the thing is, would they be self-contained? Like they'd only interact with each other, or would they?
Well, that's the thing. They would interact with each other, and then they would have to be able to interact with people outside of the clique. But you'd look. The point is so that you can look at them and go, "Wow, this person does seem to have like some friends and some." The real goal is to just make a sort of to do the AI Turing test on Twitter, right? But a part of the problem is that you can't convince somebody that a bot is real if they don't have any friends that they've conversed with in the past. So I was like, the first thing you have to do is simulate a whole social clique. And then once you've got that as a baseline, you can have them tweet out to other people and try to make friends with real people.
Now you also have to make the Twitter account seem like non-native speaking English, because then it would be very easy to see what the hell. But if there seems like non-native speakers of English, then like, oh, it's just the language barrier and they communicate by English. That's actually not a bad idea. I actually like it. Like, please.
I can't remember. I remember why I first thought of it. I was like, the real problem with advertisements on Twitter is that whenever you get one, you know that it's coming from like a corporate account or from like a Twitter bot. What you need smart bots that can simulate clicks and then make people think that they're real people who like a product.
I think that's illegal. You think so? It's got to be illegal somehow. Because it's basically.
It's not illegal to pay. It's not illegal to pay someone to promote your brand.
No, but then if you pay them, they have to disclose the fact that it's paid advertisement.
Right, if they ask. Right, if anyone asks, they have to.
No, I think recently, because there's been a lot of things with YouTube and Twitter and all. I think it's recently been like, no, you have to. That's why you always see whenever people do it, they put like #ad.
I see.
Because they think it's become a big enough problem where now whoever handles that in the US is like, you have to.
I can't remember why, but I was just thinking like, how could I was having a sort of devil's advocate day and thinking, if I was going to try to fix the problems with these dumb ad bots, what would it be? And I think that was where I came up with that idea originally.
Yeah. Okay. It would still be interesting.
Even if you don't have any motive, as a research project alone, it's fascinating.
It's interesting to see like if you can actually trick people and people actually believe that these are real. Like not just a few people here who are dumb, but actually get like a good amount of people saying like
a sizable number of people to follow them would be my goal, right?
Follow them.
Turn one of them into a celebrity would be the ultimate like a Twitter celebrity was actually a Twitter bot.
That would be
a celebrity on the scale of Insobot, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
A celebrity on the scale of like, if you get like a million followers, you're just sitting there like, I have lost all faith in humanity.
Yeah, I mean it's fascinating AI. I mean the reason I asked about the the enclosed thing versus being aware of other people is like if they're enclosed, then I think you would need to have them to have an ability to be creative with the language, because otherwise it could end up being stale. It could end up not being.
Well, that's the thing is,
that kind of thing.
I've seen like all kinds of chatbots now that are supposed to be able to converse with humans, and for 1 or 2 replies, sort of uphold what looks like possibly good conversation. Right? This has been a thing that's existed for a while, And eventually it breaks down because you realize they can't stay on topic and stuff like this.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, what if both ends were bots? If both ends were bots, they would both know the topic that the other one was trying to stay on, and you could possibly people have taken those one-sided bots and played them against each other, and that also is disastrous. But what if it's one simulation that knows it's simulating both people?
Yeah,
I
like
think
that each bot is not separate, but actually a coherent.
Yeah, it's one AI instead of a bunch of different AIs trying to interact, because that would be a disaster.
Yeah.
But I think one AI that simulates an entire clique of people is something I think you could pull off.
Yeah, if you make a hive mind of them and make them think that is interesting. That could be very not only interesting to see on Twitter, but also it'd be fun to okay. I know this is an AI. I know this hive mind. What happens if I start writing to it? Will it make coherent responses back to me? That could be fun. That could be actually pretty fun. Well, yeah, So that was one hell of a tangent of I don't. Even
we
were
talking about Chrono Dragons.
Tweet with C, and
Twitter
then you
with
come on
C.
to that. Yeah.
And why were you talking about Tweet with C? We should unroll the stack for a minute here and get back to a real topic.
You were talking about that you had to tweet out.
Yes, streaming, getting a stream going for productivity.
Yeah, I was saying you could just make an app with a little program that you just call in it, or on
the topic of productivity, I can also agree with Middle's assessment that the nighttime hours feel different than the daytime hours, even if your sleep schedule is adjusted for it, and you're sleeping during the early morning afternoon time, right? And then you're awake through the night. Even if you're doing that as a habit, they feel different than if you're as a habit awake during the day. It just there's a different feel to it's not necessarily better or worse, but it definitely feels like you said, you can get more into a deeper Zen state where you lose track of time and what you're doing during the night, or during the day. It's always seemed to me like there's more structure, like it feels more orderly.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly as I said. Why? Because the world around you is not awake. It's not doing stuff to distract you, to just make you aware of time is actually passing. Whereas if it's quiet outside, you have the blinds down, there's no light coming outside, just in your own room, time can pass as it sees fit. Like, of course, they can't, because it's constant. It passes as
but from your perspective, it definitely feels like
your perspective can now choose to interpret it kind of like it will. Like if it wants to interpret it, it's going very fast, so that each minute feels like 5 hours. Like you can get lost in time when you're in the night, because the world isn't going on around you. Not that you can't do it when it is. But yeah, it's why the hell? Like, why are you keeping coming up with these psychological and physiological things out? Like, Alan, they tried to take.
I didn't bring this one up. This wasn't me.
It was.
I just returned. Yeah, the daytime nighttime stuff was him. I was just saying I agree with his assessment.
True, but then we talked about bots being in a hive mind.
It was not even me. It was you who got all psychological. I just said that without getting psychological, I said I agree with the assessment. I don't have. You gave us the reasoning behind it. This one's on you.
Damn it. But you enjoy working in your office here.
I enjoy it for now. Yeah, I might start shifting times around, but right now I don't plan to, because I kind of enjoy the rhythm that I'm in.
And as you said, there are other people or companies there, but you have your own spaces.
Yeah,
it's not like a cubicle or something.
No, it's not a cubicle. It's a room in a hall where there are other. I had an interesting experience where somebody who was looking for one of the other people. I am in a hall, and there's rooms A through F in that hall. Right, it's all room 2. It's all like suite 204, or it's different suites with the address of 204. But there's A through F are the sub rooms there. Yeah. And I'm in A, which is right at the front of the hallway that you enter when you come there. And there's the other people. I don't think the other ones are all used. Like 2 of them are for the same person, and one of them is just a storage room, I think, for some other person, right? But there's at least 3 different people, or there's definitely at least 2 people who have active businesses running in the hallway with me. So somebody came in, and they just opened. My door was unlocked, or it was even cracked open because it gets hot in my room with all the computers and stuff, and I'm on a second floor, so that doesn't help too, and all these different contributing factors. So I cracked the door open.
The window?
There's no window. It's an interior room, which I wanted. I wanted that because the outside is distracting. I'm in a perfect little white wall box of my own.
Yeah, okay.
But anyway, so my door was cracked open because it's hot, and I was actually on my way out for lunch anyway. And this person wanders in, and she says, "Is this Shelly's place?" And I was like, "No, she's farther down the hall." She goes, "Okay, thank you." And I was like, "Well, that was not unexpected." So I started locking the door while I'm working because I don't like that.
You just take a piece of paper, right? Not Shelly's room, and just mark it on the door.
Well, the thing I realized I should have done was open the door all the way up and be like, "Yep, this is Shelly's place. Here's all of Shelly's computers," which is I'm sure what you were expecting. There's no seat for you, so don't sit down.
Yeah, okay.
Totally.
But that's. But like.
I like the image of you like tucked away in your own little windowless office.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a little video of it soon. I wanna put. I have a bunch of. I had to move. I got new monitor arms, which I've always wanted. So I could mount the monitors. Yeah. So I actually now I'm running a 4-monitor setup now. So
like me.
Yeah, because I have 2 on my main computer, a laptop, and then another one.
I just have 4 directly to the PC.
On one computer. Yeah, they're not all one computer.
Then a laptop.
Yeah, I don't actually have 4 on one computer yet. I don't think I will. But anyway, so I got the monitor arms. I got some other equipment that I needed. So I have all these boxes sitting around, and I've been getting rid of those and like packing bubbles and stuff like that all over the place. Once all that's moved out, and like I've been moving it out slowly, I'm going to put I don't know. I'm going to get some like Fortec poster printed or something and put them in a few places to sort of make it not completely white walls. And then I'm going to make a quick tour video, which will be like a 360 in the center of the room so that everyone can get a feel for what I set up.
Feel where the magic of 4-coder happens.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. I have to confess to you, Twell, and I have to confess to you that I have not opened 4-coder in a while.
That makes perfect sense.
I have opened Sublime Text instead.
Shameful.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say I finally get what Bill was on about multiple cursors.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty
yeah, I kind of get it now too because I've slowly been introducing that kind of stuff into 4-coder, and I'm like, yeah, I want multiple cursors now. I'm getting close to it.
It's pretty cool, actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been doing multi-line, which is not quite as good as multi-cursor because they all have to be in a straight line with each other. But even that, you can just like, if you enter multi-line, you can just go, like, whenever I have a long array of like struct dot, struct dot, struct dot, struct dot, 7 different members, I can just go, oh, multi-line, backspace, minus, greater than, to make the little arrow instead, right? And it's just like 10 lines all at once just got fixed, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's also just, I just how nice it is to have the same editor for all my languages.
Yeah.
And you're still sticking to the 4-coder SAC and C++ editor.
4-coder, yeah. Well, 4-coder is for people who are writing C and C++, but it doesn't mean that I don't want you to be able to edit other things. Like, I understand that sometimes a C and C++ project involves HTML or batch or shell script or make files, etc. So I want to have minor levels of support in there eventually for everything else. But the point when I've said it's a C and C++ editor, what I mean is it has the basic assumption that you will get most benefit the most benefit I can give you as a user is if I give you faster ways to edit C and C++, right? That's the way I can help you the best. Like if I in other words, like if I'm going to make a big editing feature that's going to work for like, and in fact, this is something I'm doing, like identify what scope you're in and highlight the whole scope so that you can like at once highlight the whole scope, cut it, and paste it somewhere else. Yeah. And that's improved my speed by a large factor because I'm doing all these scope manipulations now that I couldn't do before, which I'm going to release soon. It's not actually out yet, but I want to also write that for other languages that have different scope rules. So certain basic things like I feel like a Notepad++ level of highlighting and sort of understanding maybe some indentation rules for other languages, and that's about it.
Yeah, okay.
Well, the deeper intelligence is going to be for like C, C++.
Yeah, I'm not going to do code intelligence for another language inside of Warcoder. At least I might someday make like a way to build your own code intelligence for your own language, just like a custom plugin type thing.
Yeah,
So like if you've got Odin, you want to make it that you want code intelligence for that, you could plug in your Odin parsers and things, but that's a whole like complicated problem. So
yeah, and that's like basically what you're saying. The minimal level support is basically actually what Sublime has. That doesn't have it doesn't have much more, and everything else is plugins that adds this sort of intelligence to the entire system.
Right. I want the core to be an editor that's comparable with Sublime or Vim or Emacs, right? Whichever one of those, because everyone likes one of those three if they're a long-time programmer, it seems to me. So I want it to be comparable to all three of those as as a text editor, but as a code editor, it's just for C and C++.
Yeah,
if that makes sense, right? The
until,
code editing
until people can start writing their own plugins and then it can start being others,
And-
but unofficially supported.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, but I just want to. I love Warcoder, but especially since I'm mostly doing work in Go and Odin.
Makes sense. Yeah.
So and they're both there's no plugins for Odin. But Bill has released his text highlighting and that sort of stuff, and there are plugins to use Go more efficiently in
Sublime.
Sublime. Something also was very interesting. Martin Cohen wrote on Twitter about it. Visual Studio Code that lightweight, but based on the electrons, so how lightweight can it be?
Right.
Editor thing, but apparently it has support to debug C and C++. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, if it has at least as good support for it as the entire Visual Studio, because even if it's still based on Electron, it opens a lot faster, and it is still a lot faster than entire Visual Studio. So I'm actually thinking about switching my debugger to that, because you can also get a plug-in to debug Go code in it.
Yeah.
Think about it, because it's because as we all know, Visual Studio is very, very, very slow.
I've got no idea about that. Never used it.
No, but you can just see that when Casey uses it on Handmade Hero, there are times where it's like, get on with it, let's go.
Does take a while to load.
It takes a while to load, and sometimes stepping can take a lot. It can take a long while. So it's the thing about it, because I didn't know that it, like, they're positioning it as a Visual Studio that's cross-platform, and it only has native support to debug Node.js. Like, Node.js and JavaScript. That's the only thing native debugging support it has.
Okay.
So they not even with their own language C#, which is their baby in many sense. You have to install a plugin to debug C# with it. It's made by Microsoft themselves, but like they don't even ship with that, which I think is it's weird. I don't have them, but I'm thinking about using that because it would be nice to, because I found something somewhere. I have a link to it somewhere, but you can download Link and CL and all that without downloading the entirety of Visual Studio. There are packages for it. If I could get rid of entire Visual Studio and just install that and VS Code, because VS Code is like, I think, 50 megabytes, like nothing, that would be very nice. Because then I have an SSD, but it's not that big, and SSD space is precious. So yeah, but I think we've been going on for around 40 minutes now, so I think we're gonna call in, and it seems it's finally getting dark where you are, Alan.
That's right. I need to go turn a light on for the next one.
Yeah, so
well, that's a relief, because we don't need to go on the Node.js rants.
Oh yeah, oh god, no. Please no. I tried making one thing in it and I gave up so fast.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I hope everybody enjoyed it, and see you next time.
Farewell for now.
Bye-bye.